So let's start some leadership notes. Let's share some leadership notes. I'm going to share some leadership notes. So the chapter is the leadership overview. Unit 1 is leadership overview. So we will be seeing the significance of the good leadership. Then within leadership we'll see conceptual definitions. Then third point we'll see the criteria for leadership success. So what is the significance of the leadership? Good leadership. Leadership is an area of great historic and contemporary significance, right? For example, Julius Caesar or Alexander the Great. So it is difficult to describe how lead properly. How to lead properly? It's difficult to describe. So how to lead properly in a single sentence? We cannot, describe in a single sentence that how to, lead properly. So different people in history have led their respective projects to success in very different ways. Leadership can be assigned to the role of a leader, yes, but it can also be viewed as a process of social influence. So it can also be viewed as a process of social influence. As an influence process, a leader can have an influence on many different aspects, like the goals and actions of an organizational unit, employees' motivation to achieve these goals, trust and cooperation among employees, the allocation of resources towards goal and measures, and the arrangement of bureaucracies and systems. So in these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas, leader can have an influence. Leadership, so these are just example, right? Leader can have influence on this example of 5 situations. So leadership has an indirect but significant influence on the overall success of a company, right? For example, if one of the field sales manager succeeds in motivating their employees more, so he motivates his employees more, they will be presumably they will be more perhaps they will be able to record greater product turnover, right, which ultimately leads to a higher sales volume and therefore to great earnings. Secondly, a leader who explains the significance of error rates and offers solutions for error-free production can also contribute to a company's success through their leadership behavior. Okay, so let's see the second point, the leadership conceptual definition. What is the conceptual definitions of the leadership? An overview of how the well-known management thinkers like Peter Drucker, Jack Welch and John S. Carter understands and defines the term is presented. So their definitions is presented right here. So what Peter Drucker says, Peter Drucker, the developer of the management by objective. So he is the developer of the MBO concept, outlines leadership in 4 aspects. So what are those 4 aspects? Leadership requires employees who follow. Leadership is not popularity that makes a leader. So it's not just popularity, but it is the results achieved. So what results you have achieved? A leader must be visible and lead by example, right? A leader must be visible and lead by example. It's not rank, privilege, title or money that makes a leader. It is the responsibility. Rosenstiel's understanding of the leadership is established in German-speaking countries. He describes leadership as goal-oriented influencing. That is intended to motivate the person being led to achieve a specific goal. Concrete goals can be those such as increasing sales, improving the work atmosphere, or emphasizing specific quality standards. Okay, in principle, this influencing can occur in 2 ways: via leadership through structures and leadership through people. So these are the ways in which influencing can occur, right? You can influence in 2 ways: leadership through structures and leadership through people. Structures are thought of in terms of organizational charts. So structures are like organizational charts, job descriptions and procedural rules. So structures is there. So this is the organizational hierarchy. So the person in the top of the organization chart will do this, and below him do that, and at the lower level do this. Okay, so this is called structures, leadership through structures. They often have an effect, yes, even without the direct intervention of a particular person. So it's just a automatic system. You make a hierarchy and it will work on its way. So it doesn't involve any intervention. right? This structural way. So no matter how rigid or flexible these structures of an organization may be, leadership through people is of central importance. So this is not all. Leadership through structure is not all. No matter how flexible it is or how rigid it is, leadership through people is of central importance, and the leader's behavior is crucial in clarifying goals, coordinating tasks, motivating employees, and monitoring results. So it is not just the automatic system. So clarifying goal is important, coordinating the task is important, motivating employees is important, and monitoring result is also important. That is why the leader's behavior is crucial. So we are focusing that leadership is more important, right? In summarizing and clarifying these thoughts, the following definitions of the leadership of an employee can be formulated. So you can just learn this. Leadership is the goal oriented influencing of subordinates. So leadership is goal oriented, no doubt, and it is influencing of subordinates. Through leadership we influence the subordinates by supervisors. Who influence subordinates? Supervisors, with the aid of communication tools. So what will help these supervisors to influence subordinates? The communication tools. Whoever also adds that the success of leadership depends on acceptance by employees. So if employee accepts, success, otherwise failure. So let's see the third point, the criteria for leadership success. Varying approaches to measuring assessing leadership success. Varying approaches to measuring or assessing leadership success are briefly presented below, right? What are the approaches to measure the leadership? Three different levels can be considered when assessing leadership success. Three different levels can be considered when assessing leadership success. The first level is the dyad, that is the relationship between each individual, right? Employee A, employee B, etc., being led and their leader. So this is called, the first level is dyad. The second level is the group or team, and the third level is the entire organization, right? So many studies reinforce the idea that it is very difficult to clearly determine what contribution good leadership makes to a company's success, right? It is difficult to determine or measure what contribution good leadership makes to a company's success. Though he makes contribution, but we cannot measure it. We cannot say he has contributed to the extent of rupees this, rupees that. Okay. So Vebler process 3 efficiency criteria for assessing leadership success, right? Just a minute. Okay. So Vebler proposes 3 efficiency criteria. Many studies reinforce the idea that it is very difficult to clearly determine what contribution good leadership makes, right? What contribution leadership makes to a company's success. So Vebler proposes 3 efficiency criteria. What are the 3 efficiency criteria for assessing leadership success? The first is economic efficiency, the performance process efficiency, and the personal efficiency. Okay, these are the 3 processes, 3 efficiency criteria for assessing leadership success. Okay, what are these criteria? Economic efficiency, performance process efficiency, personal efficiency. Let's see one by one. The economic efficiency refers to typical indicators of a company's success, such as earnings, profitability, or sales. So economic efficiency refers to typical indicators of a company's success. So what are the indicators of the company's success? Earnings, profitability, or sales, right? Earning is very important, profitability is very important, right? And the sales is very important. So basically earning means the revenue. In the case of performance process efficiency, so we have seen the economic efficiency. Now let's see the performance process efficiency. In the case of performance process efficiency, success can be differentiated according to tangible performance process. For example, rejects, accidents, or deviation from plans. So this is the process efficiency, right? And intangible performance process. What are the intangible? Problem solving. So how you can solve a problem which arose. So personal efficiency. So we have seen economic efficiency, performance efficiency, and now let's see the personal efficiency, which can also be which can also be differentiated in terms of work related attitudes. So personal efficiency can be work related attitudes, that is satisfaction, morale, or complaints, and individual attitudes, that is acceptance of influence or willingness to cooperate. So if In contrast to efficiency, the effectiveness of leadership is considered. Three types of effectiveness. So if you are not happy with the efficiency, and if you want to refer to the effectiveness of leadership, it is considered three types of effectiveness. So what are those three types? Performance, cohesion, and satisfaction. Performance, that means quality, time saving, creative performance. Cohesion, team cohesion, frustration tolerance, and group performance, that is cohesion. And satisfaction is job satisfaction and commitment. So in addition to the efficiency and effectiveness criteria described above, a broader stakeholder approach can be used. So in addition, right, broader stakeholder approach can also be used. So successful leadership can be defined as leadership that achieves the highest possible level of satisfaction, among as many stakeholders as possible. Stakeholders, as you know, employees, suppliers, customers, lenders, and society. So what is the summary? Let's summarize. Leadership is a complex construct, and the question of what constitutes good leadership is therefore difficult to answer. So leadership is a complex construct, and therefore the question of what constitutes good leadership is therefore difficult to answer, right? Historically, leadership has been considerable importance in politics and wars. Nevertheless, there are many different definitions of what exactly leadership means. The core of the various definitions of the leadership is that it is process of communication between the leader and the led. So leader led the employees, for example. So it is the process of communication between the leader and the led, which in turn has purpose of achieving the central goal. What is the main purpose? That is the main purpose. So leadership success can be measured or assessed using efficiency approach. So how we can measure? Using efficiency approach, the effectiveness approach, and stakeholder approach. Ultimately, the decision on which criteria to use to measure and assess supervisor is up to the industry company. So this is the unit 1. Let's go to the unit 2, for example. So let's resume from unit 2, leadership theories through changing times, right? Leadership theories through changing times. Even now, there is no consensus in management research as to the best leadership approach. So there is no consensus, there is no agreement, right? There is no consensus. Okay, so what is the trait theory? Let's see the trait theory. It is primarily concerned with the personality of the leader. It is therefore based on the following what question? So what is that question? What traits and characteristics must a person have to qualify as a leader? So to qualify as a leader, what traits and characteristics must a person have to qualify? So you also can inculcate those qualities into you if you wish to be a leader. So let's see. Trait theory, also known as the great man theory, developed in the second half of the 19th century. It was developed in second half of the 19th century. Employees' participation in decision making was also categorically rejected. So employees' participation was categorically rejected. This approach is contemporary. So let's wait. So where we were? Okay. So trait theory, also known as the great man theory, developed in the second half of the 19th century. So employee participation in the decision making was also categorically rejected. So employee participation was rejected there, right? This approach is complementary. This approach is complementary to Taylorism, which assumes that workers can only act in a limited way. So Taylor assumes that workers can work in a limited way. They have 8 hours, or fatigue and everything is there, so there is limited way. So Taylor agrees that, and this theory complements. Okay, when employees are seen as mentally limited, their participation is virtually excluded. So their participation is virtually excluded. अरे यार बेटी क्या कर रही है? पीछे आ रही हो, पर्दा हल्ला है, सबै बिग्रेन यता आएर पर्दा यस्तो गरे तेरी Oh, it was not paused. Okay, we'll see later on. So, under a cooperative leadership style, the term develops proposals before the leader identifies the proposal to be implemented from the pool of suggestions developed. So, using a delegative leadership styles, the employee's freedom is so great that the group decides for itself based on the leader's specification. So leader says this is the specification that this goal has to be achieved, and employee, rather the group of the employee, decides itself, right? What they decide, how to do it. The leader's based on the leader's specification of the problem and their established guards rail. So semi-autonomous groups make decisions. So who makes the decision? Not the leader. Semi-autonomous groups make decisions completely on their own with the supervisor acting as an advisor. He is just an advisor now. So there are various approach. So just now we have talked about delegative leadership style. So there was under cooperative leadership style is also there, informational style is there, consultative leadership style is there, paternalistic leadership style is also there, and authoritarian leadership style we have seen. Okay, the question of which leadership style is most effective and in which cases cannot be answered. Rather, it is important to take the framework conditions into account, such as the personal characteristics of the leader, team size, industry, and work content, the qualification of the employee, and the level to which the leader is accepted by the team, and then to exercise an appropriate leadership style based on this. Okay. Now, see the considerations of the situations, right? Considerations of the situation. So contingency theory addresses the question of which leadership style is most promising in which situation. So in which situation, which leadership style is most promising is addressed by contingency theory, right? So this situation, the situation which represents the sum of the framework conditions, of a leadership situation can be further defined by the following aspects. Situation can be defined, right? So leader employees leader relationship, positional power, degree of task structuring. Okay, so leader employee relationship, group employees tend to be more willing to accept stimuli from their leader if they value their leader or feel valued. If they value their leader and if they feel that they are valued, what they will do? They will tend to be more willing to accept stimuli or the decisions. Okay, the dyadic relationship is the most important situational variable. So positional power, a leader's influence based on their hierarchical position in the organization is also referred to as a positional power. In what position they are in the organizational chart, top position, middle position, okay, that is also important. The greater their positional power, the more influence the leader has on the behavior of the employee being led. So if the CEO says something, every employee follow. So that is what is called. So what is about positional power? So degree of task structuring. This refers to the number of structuring elements, their predictability, and the verifiability of performance results. The more clearly the tasks are structured, the easier it is to coordinate and control the employees being led. Right? The more clearly the tasks are structured, if it is more structured, it is more easy to coordinate and control the employees being led. So each of the aspects named above can be high or low. Each of the aspects named above can be high or low. These aspects can be low, this aspect can be high, resulting in 8 different situations. So depending on the situation, Fedler recommends more employee oriented or performance oriented leadership, right? So each of these aspects named above can be high or low. We have seen, resulting in 8 different situations. So 8 different situations. There can result 8 different situations, right? Depending on the situations, Fielder recommends more employees oriented or performance oriented leadership. So Fielder recommends leadership which are employee oriented based on 8 different situations. So maturity model according to Hearsay and Blanchard title, right? So his name. So maturity model. It bears this name because it makes a recommendation for leadership behavior recommendation depending on the maturity level of the person being led. So it is assumed that employees with different level of maturity are to be led differently. Yeah, a matured employee should be led differently, right? So they should be given more freedom. Not attendance, no attendance. So this kind of things. For the first time, Hearsay and Blanchard advocated for individualized leadership. They have advocated for individualized, personalized, customized leadership and were against the watering can principle. Watering can principle. So focus the water. This agitation may, during the agitation, whoever is more agitated, more aggressive, you can focus water can on him, right? This is called water can approach or water can principle. This means that despite authentic leadership by a supervisor, it is more effective and fairer if employees are led differently. This is to consider the theory that employees with lower maturity need more guidance. Employees with lower maturity needs more guidance and monitoring. They need more guidance and more monitoring, while employees with very high maturity deserve more freedom. The authors distinguish between four levels of maturity among employees. So M1 to M4. These are the levels of maturity among employees. Generally, we see M1 to M4 in employee IDs also. It is important to note that this is not a matter of the employee's abstract personal maturity. It is not important. It is important, it is important to note that this is not a matter of the employee's abstract personality maturity. This is not about abstract personality maturity. Instead, depends on performance motivation. So, how motivated he is with respect to performance, willingness to assume responsibility. If you give some responsibility, whether he is ready, and training or experience. So, how experienced he is. It's not just about age. Okay, it's about training, it's about experience, it's about willingness to assume responsibility and performance motivation, how motivated he or she is. So these things defines his maturity level. Okay, so M1 is characterized by low psychological and low functional maturity. M1 is low, M2 is characterized by high psychological but low functional maturity, and M3 is characterized by low psychological but high functional maturity, and M4 is characterized by both high functional and psychological maturity. In this respect, the new 18-year-old trainee in a department will likely to be assigned M1, whereas the long-standing employee in accounting department who has successfully handled difficult circumstances like balancing the financial statements could be assigned M4. An employee who has a great deal of potential, and enthusiasm but has only recently moved from purchasing to sales would corresponding to M2. We can give him M2. So at the same time, the question of maturity level arises when an employee starts new job. If you switch a job, the question arises again, you are at M1. The figure below illustrates how leadership behaviors and employees' maturity are correlated according to Hearsay and Blanchard. Hearsay and Blanchard assumes that Monkey आएन र Oh, it's not paused again. We'll see. So here's in Blanchard assumes that each employee should be led according to the maturity level. You have seen this. Better the leader can respond to the maturity level of an employee, the higher the employee's productivity. Nevertheless, the maturity model has also been characterized as lacking empirical evidence, right? So Broom Eaton decision model. What is this? What is this? The decision model by Broom and Eaton frequently serves as the basis of leadership training, with its validity supported by empirical studies. So his validity is supported by empirical studies. Okay. The decision model by Broom and Eaton frequently serves as the basis of leadership training, right? Which its validity supported by empirical studies. It considers autocratic decisions based on consultation with those led, and group decisions. So these are three. It considers three decision models. The leader is guided through six situations. Six situation diagnostic questions. So leader is guided by six questions. Each questions must be answered with yes or no and follows a decision tree. So what are those six questions? What is the importance of this six question? The six question guides the leader. So what are these six questions which guides the leader? The first one, does the decision to take one action strategy or another make a difference? Does the decision to make one action strategy or another make a difference? Is the problem structured? Does the implementation require that employee accepts the decision and its consequences? Would they also accept it if the leader made the question on their own? Do employees share the organization's goal that decision is intended to achieve? Is the decision likely to lead to a conflict among employees? Once the leader has answered these questions, they are advised on whether they should make their leadership decisions alone after consultation with those led or as part of the group decision making process. So, depending on how the questions are answered, one of the following five recommendation is provided at the end of the decision tree. What are the recommendations? Authoritarian decision by the leader, authoritarian decision by the leader after gathering information from the employees, decision of the leader on their own but after prior one-to-one consultation with the individual employees, sole decision by the leader after consultation with the working group or group decision. So these are the suggestions based on the answer of those six questions. The first six questions above led to a better leadership decision depending on the situation, whereby the improvement is determined by the three hierarchical criteria. So what are those criteria? Quality of the decision, acceptance of the decision, and economics of the decision behavior. Okay, so systematic leadership style be seen in next lecture. Okay, stop.